Welcome to class once again. We're going to be doing civic education now, and we're going to be continuing with our topic from last week, which is cultural diversity. Last week we saw the right attitude to cultural diversity. Today we're going to be looking at the values in the society. What are the values that are supposed to have as someone who lives in a society that would like to promote cultural diversity? The first one is showing honesty and good conduct. You need to show honesty. You need to be honest in whatever you're doing, so that people in the society that are of diverse cultures will not say, oh, label you and say maybe he's behaving this way because he's an Igbo person, or he's behaving this way because he's a Yoruba person. You need to show honesty and good conduct. Conduct yourself in a good manner. Conduct yourself in such a way that anywhere you come out, people will say, okay, this person is a good person. This person is a very loyal person. I can trust this person and I can do business with him. Then the next value in the society that people should have when there is cultural diversity is showing respect to adults and those in authority. You need to show respect to adults and people in authority. You need to reverence the authority, or else if you break any rule or any law that has been made, you will be arrested and you will pay for it dearly. You need to also show respect to adults. When you come out as a child, you learn to greet adults, learn to relate with adults in a cordial manner. You don't relate with adults the same way you relate with your peers. You have to relate with an adult knowing that this person is older than me and I should show some respect. You don't talk to an adult anyhow. You mind the way you talk when you are in the presence of an adult. Then we'll say the next one is taking good care of the aged and the handicapped. Apart from the fact that we are all young and vibrant, we shouldn't forget the old people are among us, and the handicapped people that cannot walk, or people that are blind, or people that have one deformity or the other. We should take care of them. Even in a society where they have people of diverse culture, these kind of people should be taken care of. The aged people should be well cared for. If an aged person is sick, you should take the person to the hospital. And then aged people also have different types of food that they eat. We'll make sure that that kind of food is available to them, that they are comfortable, so that everything will move well in the society. Because if we leave out the aged people and the handicapped, we'll find out that that sector of the society will be lagging behind, and it will affect everybody generally. It will go a long way in affecting the way we interact and the way we do things in the society. Then we have to learn about our cultures and our tradition. Even as we already know what is obtainable in our own culture and our own tradition, we have to learn what is obtainable in the culture and tradition of other people. Like for instance, you're an Igbo person, you learn what is obtainable in the culture and tradition of a Yoruba man or a Hausa man, so that when you are relating with them, you will not do anything that they will see as an insult, or anything that they will see as this person is trying to infringe on my fundamental human rights, or this person is trying to mistreat me because I'm from a particular part of the country. Then the next one is sacrificing our time and energy to build the nation. We need to sacrifice our time and energy to build the nation, to build our country into something that we will be proud of, to build our nation to the extent that foreigners from other countries will want to come and invest in our country. They will want to come and do business with us, and by so doing, we'll be growing our economy. Like the last option here says, working hard to build the economy. By the time we sacrifice our energy to build our nation and our country, everything works well. Our industries and our commerce is working well. Foreign investors will want to come into the country to build our economy. By the time they come in to do business in our country, they will provide jobs for the youth, and that will help our economy to grow to a particular extent. Thank you. Our next subject for today is basic science. And under basic science, we are going to be looking at weather. What is weather? Weather is the condition of the atmosphere of a particular area in a given period of time. It is the condition of the atmosphere of a particular area at a given period of time. That is, weather is what tells us whether the environment is, whether the atmosphere is sunny, whether the atmosphere is rainy, or whether it is cloudy. All these elements are used to describe weather. Then the science of weather is called meteorology. The science, the study of weather, studying weather is known as meteorology. Then a weather expert is referred to as a meteorologist, somebody who studies the weather and predicts what the weather will be like, or tells us how the weather is going to affect us in a number of weeks or months to come, is a meteorologist. Then the prediction of weather is called weather forecast. To predict weather, to tell what the weather will be like, is called weather forecast. Then we move over to the factors affecting weather. The first factor we have here affecting weather is sunshine. This is used to describe the amount of light available from the sun. The amount of light available from the sun will determine whether the weather will be hot or cold, to determine whether we will have abundant rainfall or minimal rainfall. Then the next factor affecting weather is wind. This is the moving air across the surface of the earth at a speed that is fast enough to be noticed. The wind also affects the weather, because if the wind is fast, it means that the weather for that day is windy. But if the wind speed is very slow, it means that that day is not a windy day. Then for the next one is temperature. Temperature is the degree of hotness or coldness of a body. It affects the weather of an environment. If the temperature is high, then everywhere will be hot. But if the temperature is low, then everywhere will be cool. Then we have rainfall. What is rainfall? Rainfall is water vapor in the atmosphere condensed to form cloud, and rainfall occurs when water vapor in the atmosphere condenses to form cloud, and then it then falls as rain. When there is abundant sunshine on the earth, the water in the earth evaporates into the atmosphere and forms cloud. And when that cloud condenses, it now brings about rainfall. We also have humidity. This is the amount of water vapor in the air. As air cools, some of the water vapor condenses to form liquid, which I've already mentioned earlier, that is our rain. Then we have our homework. What is weather? You tell me what weather is. Then the prediction of weather is called what? A weather expert is called a what? Then you list 3 factors that can affect weather, like we have discussed here. Thank you very much for your time. Good morning, children, and welcome to class. This morning we're going to be starting off with quantitative reasoning. And in quantitative reasoning, we are going to be doing the following sums. We have an example here. We have 6 times 3. 6 times 3, which will give us 18, divided by 2 to give us 9. So for purpose of clarity, we are going to label this equation. We have that this is A, this is B, and this is C. So in order for us to find A is C times 2 divided by B. That means if we have this place empty, we're going to say 9 times 2 divided by 3 to get this answer. 9 times 2 is 18. 18 divided by 3 is 6. So let's go to question number 2. In number 2, we have A empty. This is our A, this is B, and this is C. We have A empty, and we are told to find A. We have B and C in the equation. So what's the formula for finding A? A is C times 2 divided by B. We have that A is equal to C times 2 divided by B. What is C here? C here is 25 times 2 divided by B, which is 5. So 25 times 2 will give us 50. And 50 divided by 5 will give us 10. So we'll have that A here should be 10. A should be 10. In the next number, we have A, B, and C. And B is missing. We are told to find B. So how do we go about finding B? The formula for finding B is C times 2 divided by A. We have that our C here is 30. Our C here is 30. So we'll say 30 times 2 divided by 12. 30 times 2 divided by 12. So we'll now have that 30 times 2 is 60. 60 divided by 12 will give us 5. So that our B is 5. In the next sum, we have 14 times 3 divided by 2. Our C is vacant. We have A and B, but there is no C. What's the formula for finding C? The formula for finding C is A times B divided by 2. So we have A times B, which is 14 times 3. 14 times 3. We have 4 times 3 is 12. 2 carry 1. 3 times 1 here is 4. So we have 42 divided by 2. And 42 divided by 2 will give us 21. That means that our C is 21. Now for number 5, we have that B is empty. Our A is 25 and our C is 50. So what do we do? For finding B, the formula is C times 2 divided by A. Our C here is 50. 50 times 2 divided by 25, which is A. 50 times 2 is 100 divided by 25. 100 divided by 25 will give us 4. So our B will be 4. Now we have our homework. Our homework here says 8 times 10 divided by 2 will give us what? Here our B is blank, so we'll apply the formula for finding B, which is C times 2 divided by A. So we're going to do 500 times 2 divided by 100 to get B. Here A is vacant, so we're going to say C times 2 divided by B. We're going to say 48 times 2 divided by 8 to get what is here. Here our B is vacant, so we're going to say C times 2 divided by A to get what will be here. Here is our C that is vacant, so we're going to say 8 times B divided by 2 to get what is here. Please let's look at the examples and the formula that has been given. Use the formula to solve the homework and you'll find out that it's very easy. Thank you.